When he was born, he was ever so ugly. He was a very happy child, you know, just smiling. And when I used to sing vivacious and happy songs, he started. And he was, you know, laughing and enjoying it. And he had a face, you know, like this. But when I started singing a lullaby, which was very sad, Schubert's, so on, he started doing this. I mean, ready to cry. He had reactions for music since he was 4 months old.
Energy, genius, and star.
He had this extraordinary combination of a warm Mediterranean soul and this steely, rather mechanical Russian technique.
He had a very beautiful sound.
To hear sound of Nicolas, it's very true. It has warm blood and meat in it.
He never played 2 bars of a piece in the same way.
He was in the music. He was one with his piano.
And when he was playing piano, you can see him that he was.
He was living then. He was free.
He was not on earth.
He was a star.
I've never met anybody being genius again in music.
A man who could achieve anything.
When Nicolas played, it was more than music.
He used to go to his aunt. We didn't have any piano. He was 5 years old. She used to live very close to our house, Ritsa. And she had a piano. And she was very good at that stage to teach him, you know.
One of his aunt was teaching him the piano. And at that time, Solon Michailidis came, our great professor, who was a professor of his mother also. They invited him home.
He made him a test. Without seeing what he was playing, he could tell the score. Maybe a bar with notes. Nicolas notes in them, he could say it's do, re, mi, or let's say. Then the other test, he, with his ear, he checked him, you know, with his ear.
When he heard him, he said that this child is very gifted from God.
He suggested that he started lessons with George Arvanitakis, who was
at the musical academy.
Yes, the Greek Academy of Music.
And he was this, the youngest student that Arvanitakis had to take, him only. He didn't used to take any, but he realized he was very talented.
My first memories of Nicolas. Nicolas playing the piano, Nicolas having to go to the piano and practice.
His father was watching over him, even attending his lessons.
He lost time, I mean, of playing for his age, you know. He lost this. In a way, it was a sort of a pressure, really.
One of the problems of Nicola all his life was his mom and his dad, that they were over him and overprotecting and
Covers.
However, he needed that.
He told me that he didn't have childhood life.
Yeah.
He didn't play with the ball. He didn't play the games with the other boys.
I remember that he was the one that he could go to the concerts and all the... my parents used to take him with them. I remember it because I wanted to go as well.
When he was 11 years old, he won the first prize at that competition, Ketis Papayano competition. He comes back. Then there are serious thinking about, Solonas spoke to us about this special school of music in Moscow.
It was the only place that had school for these special children.
И вот как раз здесь вот эта фотография, он приехал, но это нужно, очевидно, вот как и было в газете. Здесь было написано, что по просьбе Макариуса именно и по просьбе АКЕЛ, Коммунистической партии Кипра, он был прислан сюда, зачислен в ЦМШ.
I met him Central Music School in Moscow. It was a big world which opened itself for us, big musicians which we could hear and learn from them. It was a very new situation for both of us. I think this create kind of solidarity.
Στο σημερινό ραδιοσκόπιο, ο Κλήτος Ιωαννίδης συνομιλεί με τον Νικόλα Οικονόμου.
Ο καθένας είχε το δικό του δάσκαλο στο όργανο του, το οποίο ήταν και το πιο βασικό, όπως ανάφερα πριν. Εγώ είχα δύο δασκάλους. Είχα δύο δασκάλες συγκεκριμένα. Και οι δύο δουλεύαν στο μεγάλο οδείο, το Τσαϊκόφσκι, αλλά διδάσκαν στο σχολείο, διότι το σχολείο αυτό είναι εξαρτώμενο, όπως είπαμε. Αλλά δεν είναι όλοι οι δασκάλοι που διδάσκαν πέρα που ήταν στο μεγάλο οδείο. Η δική μου ήταν. Και 2 φορές την εβδομάδα είχαμε μάθημα. Μέναμε δε σε ένα οικοτροφείο, το οποίο δεν ήταν μαζί με το σχολείο, ήταν 500 μέτρα παρακάτω. Και στο οποίο υπήρχαν δωμάτια με πιάνα και τέτοια πράγματα. Υπήρχε και ομαδική ζωή, ας πούμε, όλο το μάθημα.
There were very big, 2 big rooms, boys on the second floor, and the girls on the third floor, and we had educators there.
Был Николас, то поскольку он был ребенком с 11 лет, то тут, конечно, внимание должно было быть просто в течение всех суток, что с ним. Он живет в интернате, у него там питание, у него сон, у него физкультура, у него дисциплина такая или иная. То есть в курсе абсолютно всего, конечно.
At a certain time the light would be switched off, but we, of course, wouldn't go sleep immediately, so we were telling jokes, and many jokes were pretty anti-Sovietic jokes.
Вы знаете, его в основном любили. Он очень легко выходил на контакт всю жизнь. Это его менталитет просто таков. Но были стычки. Вот мне недавно рассказывал ныне профессор консерватории, тогда он был его сокурсник, одноклассник. Были стычки, были.
He had a very hard time there because he was the youngest and he wouldn't. He was coming from a West country, you know, so he was a capitalist. Once he told them to his friends that the Mercedes is a much better car than Volga, and they beat him for that.
You should keep the rules of being there, of living there. Those rules were there were prescription from the morning till the evening how it should go.
I mean, it was a big change, really, and especially the climate and the food. He didn't like it.
But he learned very quickly, you know. He was speaking Russian pretty well in a very short time.
Η μορφή του σχολείου είχε ενδιαφέρον, διότι εφόσον μέναμε μαζί και ήταν όλη μουσική, υπήρχε μια ομαδική ζωή, αλλά η οποία δεν ήταν χωρίς προβλήματα φυσικά. Γιατί όταν υπάρχουν τόσοι που κάνουν το ίδιο πράγμα, πάντα υπάρχει, ας πούμε, και ένας συναγωνισμός. Ο οποίος δεν εκφραζόταν τόσο φανερά φυσικά, διότι υπήρχε, όπως λέω, και η ομαδικότητα, αλλά υπήρχαν διάφορες καταστάσεις, διότι οι άνθρωποι που ερχόντουσαν ήταν διαφόρων προελεύσεων. Δηλαδή, ο ένας ερχόταν από χωριό, άλλος από πόλη, ο άλλος από άλλη δημοκρατία της Σοβιετικής Ένωσης κτλ.
Of course, there he was the bad boy, taking gins and some tapes.
The Russians knew already about the Beatles. They knew that they existed and they knew their songs, but it wasn't allowed to buy their discs or having them or listening to them.
He was playing it immediately and changing it, saying I would do here this and this, I would maybe would be better this and this.
And then when he was 16, less than 16 years old, Rima Hananina, the assistant of Emilianova, the big professor, wanted him to go in. They had few months to prepare to go for this big Tchaikovsky competition, which is in those days happened every 4 years.
Какую-то серьезную задачу, на которую он бы клюнул, и таким образом через год, в 70-м году, должен был быть конкурс Чайковского. Я говорю: Николас, а что, если нам с тобой программу конкурса Чайковского сделать, помимо того, что мы по программе должны проходить в школе? Как? А я могу? Так а в чем дело? Надо стараться, только и всего. И эту идею он воспринял.
They decided very late that he would participate. So they started practicing only a few months before the competition, but they worked very intensive and he managed.
А ведь вот он блеснул как искорка. Но когда сообщали уже результаты, Мы были вместе с Ниной Петровной в малом зале и слушали, когда, значит, произносили тех, кого пропустили на второй тур. И когда там не оказалось Николаса, Нина Петровна сделала такой жест. Там есть такая бархатная балюстрадочка, мы стояли около нее, она взяла так руку, зарезали.
My father was there again. And when they threw him out, a judge of the jury was very upset. And his teacher found out that the reason they threw him out is because if they wouldn't, at the first round, they couldn't throw him out after the second round. He was too good.
The main problem is that at this competition, that time would be decided who would take prize long before it was taken. I mean, at least approximately.
And this is when I remember him saying, I'm not racing horse, and I don't want to do that again, ever. And then after the Tchaikovsky competition, because he was so good, they accepted him instead of all the others were 18 years old, he was 16. He was accepted in the Conservatory.
The good thing about being in Tchaikovsky, Nicolas was not listening himself and only playing the piano. He could go to the classes where they play the violin, where they play the trombone, where they put, I mean, the strings instruments, the percussions, everything. That's why he was so completed and he knew everything about music.
It was the best school in the world, you know.
It was after Stalin's death, it was during the Khrushchev. It was a little bit liberated, the whole thing, but still he felt oppressed.
He was a very critical person. As a matter of fact, he left Russia because he couldn't stand it anymore, this Stalinistic time there, you know.
He always used to write, I'm going crazy here, you know.
He was such an independent mind, such an independent bird. If you told him to stay in a cage, that was death for him. And the school needed patience and discipline that Nicolas never had. No patience, no discipline.
He came to the point that he said, okay, I'm leaving. But I remember him, the argument to my father, it was always, I can do it on my own. I know. I don't need them anymore, so I'm leaving.
Вы знаете, жизнь ведь идет, закручивает. И когда, конечно, от него не было никаких вестей долго, было очень больно, очень.
So he went to Germany because we had some friends, English couple, an English couple.
He stayed with them. They were interested about culture and music. That's how, through them, he met Mike Reynolds. In those days, Mike Reynolds was the cultural attaché.
I first heard about Nicolas from some friends of the family, and in 1971, these friends, talking to us at a party, said he was desperate to practice his piano. He was cheerful, immensely likable straight away, very vivid sense of fun. We had small children at that stage. They called him our resident hippie. And we just got to know Nicolas as a person who brought fun, humour, but a lot of passionate music making into the household. I suggested to Nicolas that one thing that he needed was not just to practice on our piano every day, but to start giving concerts to people. So I said to Nicolas I would be prepared to put on a private concert for him, and I would invite 50 or so movers and shakers who lived and worked in Düsseldorf. And everybody crowded into our music room, filled the hall and the drawing room, and Nicolas sat down and played Mussorgsky, played pictures at an exhibition. At the end of that recital, I think there were 50 true lifelong fans of Nicolas as a potentially great musician. He gave an absolutely stunning performance of the piece, and he judged it to perfection. This emboldened me sufficiently to start ringing up some commercial promoters. Quite quickly, a Cologne concert agency said they would be prepared to give Nicolas an evening recital. And we had a full house for his first proper recital in Germany, and that concert was a colossal critical and public success.
Elmar! Hallo? From Düsseldorf we came to Rome, just for a few days, yeah. And I was sitting beside Nicolas, and he was all the time telling me bad Russian jokes. But somebody mentioned next day there would be a small concert by this man with the dirty jokes. And I asked, which is not my normal behavior, asked if I could be present at the time. And I invited myself. And this invitation of myself changed my whole life.
This is how the whole thing started with Munich. They told him that Munich, over Elmar, he met his friends, Elmar friends, and they told him that the best city in Germany to start a career is not Düsseldorf, is Munich, because that was the center then.
Elmar was always around from the very beginning, and I remember that his first concert was a big cultural event in Munich.
There was only one thing to do to make this known to the public, is to create a kind of myth, a kind of legend. Yeah? The first concert in the Hercules Hall in Munich was sold out by pure one telling the other. Did you hear?
Well, there was much rumor and much high expectations on this concert. People loved what he played, and he was sympathetic, and people were fascinated by him.
Once there came quite a famous music critic here to us to somehow, I don't know, he wanted to fetch something which I don't remember. And then he said, I don't know, there's something about Nicolas Economou. There must be a kind of connection, and I don't know who this is and who is working so much for him, but he's much more known than anybody else.
Yes.
And then we laughed very much. We didn't tell him that he was really in the center of the spider net, because it was all around our house. And
he said also, it seems to me something like a Munich mafia.
Yeah.
For Nicolas Economou, he is not the
It was.
But he was in the kind of center of it. So
he stood here in the kitchen, and we said nothing, and said, "Okay, you're here in the center of the mafia."
He was in Padrino, the Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather was you.
Ton ab. Nicolas Economou 3, die erste.
Meine Damen und Herren, Nicolas Economou, ein Mann, das Fußball spielt und auch ein bisschen Zeit für Klavier findet. Was meinen Sie, Herr Economou, wenn Sie diese unglaubliche Minuten zu uns geben, dieses unwahrscheinlich, diese unmenschlich Fußball, das Sie spielen? Hatte das etwas zu tun mit der Musik? Und wie sehen Sie die Zukunft von unserem Leben mit Fußball? Werden alle Leute Fußball spielen oder es werden nur für privilegierte Leute ein
Alle werden Fußball spielen.
Jetzt verstehen wir alles.
Ja, das ist
ein sozialer Mensch, ein Musiker, ein Fußballspieler, Nicolas Economou.
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Sie sehen jetzt die Sendung Klavier als Sport, in dem wir Ihnen zeigen den schnellen Pianisten, und er wird spielen den Minutenwalzer von Chopin in weniger als eine Minute. Wir wünschen Ihnen gute Unterhaltung. Time is money.
When he announced to me that he got married, I said, "Bravo, well done, Nicolas. I'm very pleased. Congratulations," because he had somebody to be with him.
My father was shocked again. But my mother was really happy about it. Nicolas was very independent. He wouldn't like to live on the expense of my parents or anything, so he knew that he had to make a living. And so he met Ralph Siegel. He's very known in Germany, producer. And he offered him a job writing songs for him. So I remember he was earning 1,000 marks per month for writing songs.
Nicolas, on an interview, he said he had written, the lyrics and the song, about 600 songs. And he was paying each month, and that's how they could go through the early years when he got married, after he had gone in 1972 in Munich. And he had already, in 1976, he had already Semeli, his daughter.
This is them when they got married, and my mother was pregnant with me.
It looks kind of like a shot from a love story with this kind of Kodak feel to it.
Different dad, but a good dad. He was playing a lot of music for Semeli. He was singing with her. He was talking to her. You know, he was because he was at home. As an artist, you don't go to work. Yeah, in general, he was a good dad.
You know, we loved each other a lot. Kind of, in a way, we were kind of like in love with each other, I think.
He loved his daughter. I can say it, I saw it many, many years.
She was really the emotional center, and I mean also the pragmatic center of his life.
I mean, he wasn't particularly proactive taking me to museums or anything like that. Like, I remember sometimes I was really bored and he said, "Do you want to go out? Should we go for a walk?" And I would get really excited. And then he'd take me to electronic shops and look at, you know, music equipment or like cameras and stuff. And I was so bored out of my mind. The sound of music was in the house throughout, you know, the night, really.
He lived a fairly bohemian lifestyle. If it was fun to play the piano until 3 o'clock in the morning and to finish up by doing jazz improvisations, then Nicolas would do it.
And then there were times where we'd improvise together, and the thing about my dad is that he liked to play. He was a very playful kind of character. He would also play this game where he would play different composers and I would have to guess who they are, just to train my ear.
He was a good father. I think he was a good father. He was not easy, but what does word easy has to do with being good or less good, you know? He was a not easy good father.
Nicolas, when he managed to come to Cyprus through a ship, he said, "I met Elmar's son. He's like an ancient god."
And Elmar, who was then the second director of the cultural department of Munich, had quite a strong influence on the media and all the things in his function.
Your role in Munich when Nicolas arrived, you really went around to all friends you had, also came to us to say there's really an incredible person who arrived in Munich. Nobody knows him, but I say to you, he's the greatest. And so
they were attracted and they became one. And that was a big help for Nicolas to start. He was really very lucky.
When I got to know him, he played some concerts, and when we started, always successful. People loved his playing. He didn't play very often, but I would say once a month. And then the piano summer came up in 1981.
It was his idea with Manfred Frey that they started it. And it through Nicolas that Mártha could go there and play, Τσικ Κορέα would go there and play.
He got a big concert with Τσικ Κορέα, was packed in the biggest venue of Munich then, Kongresshalle. I would say nearly 2,000 people.
I remember Martha was playing in Hercules. We went because he wanted to meet Martha. I think my memory is not very well, but I think we went backstage. This is what he used to do always. If he wanted to meet somebody, he was just going there and meeting them. I mean, and of course, because of his personality, everybody was impressed.
And so they met, and Nicolas, it was a fulfillment of one of his wishes, of his desires, of his dreams, to meet the great Mártha Argerich.
Martha, my dear, you have always been my inspiration. Please be good to me. Martha, my love, don't forget me. Martha, my dear.
Martha, my dear. Great singing,
Yeah, go on, it's very nice.
Yeah, why don't you sing it?
You see, I came just when you were starting this.
They were very good friends.
Yeah. It's a nice song.
He was admiring her, and he was a very good friend with her.
Then the good times came, 81, 82, 83. Then we made a tour, for instance, with Mártha Άργκεριχ. We went through the biggest halls in Germany, 10 concerts, and I was the one to organize that. And was not complicated, because Mártha was already world famous. She was a very, very famous lady, and he became more and more famous with her, by her side, I mean, and also in the festival concerts, and then in the TV, in the broadcastings of our films.
One of his superb recordings with Mártha Άργκεριχ is of the Nutcracker Suite for 4 hands on the piano. And Nicolas once told me that he had not lost a single note from Tchaikovsky's full orchestral score. Every note is in his 2-piano arrangement of the Nutcracker.
They were playing together, but they were at the same time very good friends.
And if you see these photos of Mártha and him, you see that there was a really strong relation. And she loved him very much, and he her. So it was a very strange thing. He didn't know what it was.
I mean, it was materialized in this Nutcracker suite which he arranged. And there was only a few rehearsals. They did it perfectly. It was very important for her. And once she told me that for her he was one of the most important pianists she ever met.
Really?
Yeah, really.
They needed each other, and in the film, of course, you know, he sang "Martha, my dear," you know, this Beatles song, no, my inspiration.
You silly girl, that I know. You can say it.
You silly girl, look what you've done.
And Deutsche Grammophon made the recordings. The first recording was with duet with Czikk Korea. The second recording was a duet with Mártha Άργκεριχ. The third recording was a solo CD with a picture of an exhibition with the Deutsche Grammophon, the #1 label in the world, the yellow label. So Nicolas was in the very best condition to make a real career.
Through the many friends he made in and around Munich, he was introduced to the German film director Márgarete Fon Tröta.
We went together in a restaurant, and by chance he sit beside me. He didn't know me, I didn't know him. So we started to speak together, and he told me what he thought or did or were, and I was also telling him my little story. And since then I only did 2 films as a director, so he couldn't know me, and I didn't never hear of him. And when he said he's also a composer, I like out of nothing. I never heard a note of him, but I said, you will do the next music for my next film. And so he laughed and I laughed, and that was it.
He met Márgarete Fon Tröta. I played also, he especially wrote music with solo for clarinet, so I played it, we recorded it.
Working with Nicolas was very special, because it was the first time for him, so he had not yet a method or a strategy, or he was very insecure. He was very talented, but very insecure, and so he wanted me all the time beneath him. So I had to come every night or every evening to his house, to his apartment, and we spoke, and he played me the music on the piano. He had this need of help and of security all the time. But it was marvelous, because then I already was in his apartment, and there were coming always other friends of Moscow, or other composers or other instrumentalists, and it ended always in a big concert, in a big wine party, and it was always fun.
I like very much his compositions. There were wonderful things. For the Bleierne Zeit, was it, no? He did it, but it's really good music he made. And it's wonderful. He did there's so terrible film music normally, also in these times, but this was very great.
We did 3 films, Blinde Zeit, Sheer Madness, and Rosa Luxemburg. And for Rosa Luxemburg, he did a really big, with big orchestra, a real work, full work.
I think his film music is absolutely wonderful, and I think he did a superb job on creating the right sort of musical ambience for the films that were being made. I think he might have had a career as a film composer and arranger.
If he would have make a decision to be a composer, it would have been enough for his whole life, but he did not. Yes. He was the writer, the composer, the pianist, the filmmaker, the politician. He wanted to become president of Cyprus.
He wasn't a film composer. He didn't see himself like this, but the moment he did it, it was quality, because he couldn't do it otherwise.
Ich würde dir sagen, das Komponieren für mich ist sehr wichtig, aber ich komponiere aber wenig. Ich versuche so Musik zu machen, dass die Musiker die Möglichkeit gibt, sich zu ausdrücken. Auszudrücken, ja. Und ich bin ehrlich, wenn ich die Musik, dass ich höre, meinen Kopf wiedergebe. Das ist alles, was ich tun kann. Ne? Und man kann nicht sich entscheiden, jetzt eine große Musik machen oder sowas. Ne? Wenn man so denkt, dann schafft man nichts.
Composition was very important for him because it was the soul of his interpreting it. But he would never say, "I'm a composer." No, I never. He addressed him as a musician, but not as a composer as such.
The Tower?
No, he made enough compositions.
Yes.
The Tower was an idea that Nicolas had. It has a strong narrative story. There is a couple meet, a couple spend happy times together, a couple has a child, a couple drift apart. And willy-nilly, I got drawn in as his collaborator on this project. Working with Nicolas was unadulterated joy because of his own pleasure in what we were creating together. It started in 1972 in our Düsseldorf days, and we were still writing or tweaking some of the songs in 1992. We first of all moved back to England. Nicolas was a regular visitor to see us. He would come and stay. We would talk about music, make a bit of music, work on the tower for a bit, maybe for a week at a time, and then he would return to Germany.
Then the next piano summer came, 1982. He was in 3 concerts or 4 concerts included in the biggest rooms in Munich. Every concert was packed, big critics, Festival of the Giants, Nicolas included, Γκούλντα, Άργκεριχ, Korea, McCoy Tyner, Nicolas Economou, so big headlines. He was well paid by us. He played on the best pianos and he got big critics. So it was a really challenging start.
It's one of the best pieces in the history of music is when Τσικ Κορέα, Fríndriխ Γκούλnda and Nicolas Economou play together. All the glances they change. It's fabulous. It's also famous. It is called The Meeting. Yeah? 3 genius meet.
So he's a really a good piano player, a great musician, and maybe a genius. I think his performances of German romantic music, especially Robert Schumann, but also Franz Liszt. In the private rooms, these were great events. Not only for me, though. I think, like in these moments, you were.
Well, it were divine moments.
Yeah.
The best I have ever experienced in music, really. But only in this private circles. These performances were magic.
Yeah.
Listening to Nicola's Chrysleriana, I can listen this work with any other pianist, personally.
From the critics and for people that are still alive, like Mártha Άργκεριχ and so on, they say that for Chrysleriana, nobody can interpret, even her, like Nicolas.
Every note sits there, where it should sit and how it should sit, and Nicolas understood the meaning of pausa.
Chrysleriana ist mein Lieblingsstück. Ich finde, da ist der ganze Schumann ist drin. Die Fantasie, es gibt Probleme, also mit Form und so. Ne?
Aber du hast wann hast du das angefangen?
Chrysleriana? Ja. Mit 19.
Ja.
Vor 10 Jahren.
Und immer findest du neue Sachen dann, ne?
Immer.
Ja, ich weiß, es gibt unglaublich viele Geschichten und so.
Immer.
Ja.
Aber es war so eine Identifikationssache für mich. Weil ich war in Deutschland und ich bin von einer anderen Welt gekommen und dann dieses Stück war für mich gut, weil das war eine Unterstützung für mich, weißt du, eine Bestätigung, weil das ist so ein großes Stück von Kunst und man beschäftigt sich damit und dann man hat diese Kraft irgendwie, weißt du, was ich meine?
One time when we sat in this room, I remember there was after one of these Klavier Sommer, and Mártha Άργκεριχ was here, and also Tsik Korea, and we spoke about Chrysleriana, and Nicolas made this problem of the artist who never comes really in contact with the public and is destroyed by the public more or less. And stays alone and has this inner feeling you said. And we spoke about, and then Tsik Korea, a good friend of Nicolas, also said, but I don't know where is your problem, she said. I make, and the whole public will do the same thing and we are staying in contact.
No, this motive of Chrysleriana, the last few sounds, was really his life motive.
But I would like to talk about Maritza a little bit because
his wife, yeah.
Yes, his wife, because when they came here together first, I think she was such a sweet person and she really devoted her life to him.
The problems came up when she lost twins. They were having twins, but Maritza lost the baby, so I think that was the moment that Nicolas, the relationship, I don't know what happened or how it happened, but things changed.
And this was also, there were some signs who started to, perhaps also this fact had done something difficult in
their relationship. But I think it's more than that. All these ladies.
Maya Hofmann.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He was a fascinating person.
He was very much in love, and that was the reason the marriage was over.
Well, when I met Maya, I liked her immediately. I mean, don't forget, my father had affairs, you know, it's not like all of a sudden there's this new woman, you know.
He was a fascinating person, but the bad thing was that he followed her, he went away from Nick.
Maybe she would be good for him. They had many things in common, intellectually, and you know, and she was, you know, stunningly beautiful and interesting.
Hier spricht Professor Economou, nochmal, Spezialist auf die sowjetische Geschichte. Alles, was den Stalin betrifft, den Lenin und den Trotzki, kann ich Ihnen erklären, aber Ihre Kassette ist zu kurz.
Nicolas would have been a fabulous figure playing his piano in 1918, 1919 at the heart of the Bolshevik Revolution. He really could have talked ideas, as it were, with Lenin, with Trotsky, with all the people who were espousing the new world that was to come.
He was a very left person. He was a communist. That's what he said about himself. Without being in any party. That's not what he meant with him being a communist. Loving him so much, and I think he liked me also very much, but sometimes we were killing each other 3 times a day, talking about politics.
He said, it's better to be a communist out of Soviet Union than to be in Soviet Union and don't feel nice being a communist.
My father was an idealist, really. So, and a philosopher, I think. And I think everything has its context. So at the time, you know, politics fitted that context.
Nicolas suggested that communism had all sorts of good points in those days. I suggested that communism had more bad points than good.
He never used to belong to a party, first of all, never. He was left, he was a real communist, dialectic, but never been to a party.
Every good thing was on the left side for him. Art, people, work, creation, fun, all the good things were on the left side.
He was an angry young man, ready to fight for openness of the society, for social ideas, for modern arts which would support these processes.
My father wanted to bring talented people together and make art part of people's everyday life, not an exclusive thing that, you know, is for certain people.
All he cares, he never talks about himself, is that he likes that culture, especially talking about music, would come to the everyday man, people, I mean, working people.
I think he became, I don't know if he became more ambitious or more frustrated with his work or more inspired. I don't really know exactly what it was, but I think he wanted more from his life than he had. The general kind of gist of it was that, that he wasn't where he wanted to be in his career.
He wanted to make a very big career, then playing not only with Czech or Mártha or Γκούλντα, then playing on his own in the biggest rooms of the country. And this was not so easy, even with these successes, even with good critics, very good critics, even with some very good concerts in Munich and other places. But a really big career was not so easy. And he wanted it subito, immediately. And he was not patient at all. He was not patient at all.
I think he found it difficult to adapt to the fact that there are many more political games involved, and it's not just enough to be good. You have to play the game.
For Nicolas, it was very important to have somebody on his side. And that was maybe the reason that he wasn't happy, because he couldn't have Maya.
Why not?
Because the relation was very difficult. The relationship was very difficult.
He hoped to come up with her help and with her love, and she helped him with money, and she was very generous. But it needed some time, and they had such struggles, such strong, heavy discussions, more than discussions. I have not the right word for that. Really battles.
He didn't get the record deals that he wanted. That was his biggest disappointment, I think.
He was drinking a lot, trying to find ways, new ways.
He perhaps became a little bit introspective. He drank more than he should have drunk. I think that happens to lots of people.
Do you want me to get crazy or to get cancer? That was his answer. That's why he was drinking, to get out of the reality maybe, I don't know. But he would remember he was not really drunk.
I think he was unhappy, so therefore he would kind of blame people or provoke them.
I tried to go on what I did for him, and I arranged concerts, but they were terrible concerts.
He was very tired, because everybody was expecting from him.
I mean, for somebody not knowing him, it was very good. But for us, who could compare with all his full personality, it was very bad.
I think one problem was that he never practiced and he didn't look for new pieces to open his horizon, or horizon.
It was not longer possible to plan projects together. We started from time to time to discuss about new projects, concerts, compositions, whatever, but everything failed.
I think sometimes he had, especially in the last years of his life, and also before, he had no real clear relation or artistic relation to the dark side of his life or of life. No, he didn't want to think about the power of death, and so it was something like a demon. He couldn't speak with it.
When he came to Cyprus, he wanted to make this center for arts and science.
The day before his death, he went in Nicosia. He went to see a house where he wanted to found a European cultural center.
Really?
To help the Cyprus problem.
We used to talk, and he would say, he was in bed, and I was sitting next to him, and we were talking, and he was telling me that he has enough, he doesn't want to live anymore, he's tired. And then I told him, what are you talking about? Yesterday we were talking about having this center, and you still want to have so many plans and want to do so many things and change so many things. And then he turned to me and he said, yes, you're right, it's true.
When he went to Cyprus in the beginning of December to his family and Limassol, he was in a quite good mood, and I had the feeling, oh, maybe that he's, that a change could come. He was really in a good mood, and he was looking forward and said, yeah, I will make a concert there.
Was playing what he loved. People liked it.
I had the feeling, oh, something goes up. This seems to be a turn. This was really my thinking.
his last concert in Cyprus was in this theater, and the television was recording it. He was performing last things. He knew that he was dying. I don't say that he committed suicide. No, it was an accident. But in a way, he knew that it was over.
Το γκρίζο είναι χρώμα που κανενός δεν αρέσει. Τα γαλάζια, τα πράσινα, κόκκινα, κίτρινα, το ουράνιο τόξο μετά τη βροχή.
Στο βενζινάδικο στέκει ορθός ένας μικρός.
Η στολή είναι πράσινη, με λίγες λίγδες λαδιού και τα μεσόνυχα μαύρα, σαν του πουλιού.
Ο ουρανός είναι γκρίζος, αν τρέχει βενζίνα γκρίζα κι αυτή, στην κιανή αχτή.
Τα αυτοκίνητα τρέχουν, χρωματιστά μυρμήγκια. Γκρίζοι οι επιβάτες. Ωχ, πόσο γκρίζοι. Η μια ή η άλλη ή ο άλλος νομίζει
πως μια στάλα θάλασσα ή ουρανός τους γεμίζει. Γκρίζοι είμαστε όλοι και γι' αυτό επιζούμε,
δίχως να ξέρουμε ακριβώς τι ζητούμε.
Αν όμως τα χρώματα όλης της φύσης έχουμε κι έρθεις κι εσύ αέρα, πατέρα, νοτιά, βοριά να φυσήσεις θα σκορπιστούμε, θα χαθούμε και πάλι θα συναρμολογηθούμε. Τον γκρίζο θα μένει, θα επιμένει, πάντα θα νικά.
Επειδή πεινά.
I remember one time, maybe a couple of months before he died, I looked at him and I asked him, I said, do you, how did I put this question? I said, do you regret do you have regret in your life? And do you think that life is hopeless? And he said, yeah.
Actually, this photo is always with me. Sometime before we were played in festival in Venice. We played Schumann, pieces of Schumann, and it was unforgettable. It was not, I felt it was so good, it was not music anymore. Something happened there. I believe I felt that I'm losing him.
Считаете ли вы, что он реализовал свой потенциал в жизни?
Нет, конечно нет. Конечно, там еще столько осталось всего. И он так нужен, вот нужен такой менталитет, такой объем таланта, такие возможности. Нет, конечно, это обрезало жизнь, которая неповторима.
In a telephone call we had had with Nicolas very shortly before his death, he was almost saying goodbye to us. He was talking to us about the friendship we had had, how much he loved us both, how he hoped that various things would still happen in our lives. We thought perhaps he was being slightly over-emotional. We thought perhaps he'd had a very good evening with friends and he was ringing to tell us that he loved us.
No, he was not always happy. As every human being, I think.
This was the end.
Marina, Marina, γιατί να πρέπει να σωθώ. Marina, Marina, απλά υλικά σε αγαπώ.
I said, why don't you sit down and write? And you go all day. He was coming from Limassol, running around to different cafes, to different people, to lunch here, dinner there, and out and girls. And why don't you sit down and write? I wrote everything I wanted, he says.
It was a rainy night, a stormy night, it was a dark night.
Nicolas was in Nicosia with some friends from the theater.
And then at the end, I think he was in a pub, he always used to go, and then he decided to come back. At the beginning, he wanted to stay, and then he decided that he wanted to come back home.
And he started driving.
He had the audio tapes as usually. He used to smoke. I don't know if he tried to smoke a cigarette, to get a cigarette, or to put a tape.
It was a very bended, a very big curve.
And he flew out of the road.
And actually, I sort of woke up and sat up on my bed, actually, precisely the time when he died.
Somebody rings to me very early in the morning. I answer the phone.
They found Nicolas' car in Cofinu, but they can't find Nicolas. And I thought, oh, what is he doing now again?
He didn't say that it was an accident. He was asking me about a car. And I never thought, I thought maybe Nicolas stopped somewhere.
And the other one was, wasn't saying clearly what it was. So I remember telling my mom, ask her if he's alive. And then she asked, and then she said, I'm sorry.
I woke up the next morning, I could hear some phone calls and people crying, and I kind of knew he was dead.
And I was screaming and shouting.
When the telephone call came from the Larnaca morgue, you can fetch the body now. They froze. Everybody.
Monica tried to make him look, you know, his face not to look, how I would say, because of the accident, to look good looking like he used to be and so on.
And I had to clean him, and dress him. But she was there. I was talking to him. Now you don't feel any pain, darling. Don't worry, we are all here.
For me, he was always young. He will never change into an old man. His image is always of a young man with plenty of hair, rich hair, curly, playing the piano. Whenever I hear a piano, think he is playing the piano.
Και του παπά του, αν καμιά φορά πεθάνω, με θάψετε στην Κίσονη. Δηλαδή του, να σε θάψουμε εμείς, ο ξέρω μας θάψεις, δηλαδή του. Και ύστερα που έτυχε το ατύχημα, έκαμε την επιθυμία. Και ύστερα ο Γιώργος, δηλαδή, να με θάψετε και εμένα στην Κίσονη.